as usual, on Saturday we stream live, so you join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. Yeah, we are proudly sponsored by Pimpa Promotions, located at Princess Complex at Kisubi, and you find us on 073, I beg your pardon, 0703 919971, and we shall offer you courses in computer graphics, and also those who want to promote their music, please don't look any further. Pimpa is your goal. Pimpa is your decision today. Again, I want to welcome these big gentlemen in the studio. Today I see very humble men, and diplomacy has an element of humbleness. Yeah, so I'm going to begin from the man next to me. He's called Maurice Muhoozi, a writer on Watchdog, and he is very good analyst on things to do with the politics, things to do with the economic development, things to do with the social life. So we are just happy and glad to host him today. And on the other side, I have our president. That's one of the panelists of this platform. That's Global. He's Gifty Peter, a big man at the university. He's the president of Mudecha, that is Makerere Journalism and Communication Students Association. So we are here with him. And before I reach out to them, let me first, of course, I have to introduce myself. I'm Mudecha, your man on the microphone as usual, and I'm going to, in a style, begin with the diplomatic element. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate unreservedly for giving me this chance to speak to our viewers. Once again, my name is Maurice Muhoozi, an experienced writer at Watchdog Communications Uganda, and also a political enthusiast. I like specializing in war studies. I'm a war analyst, actually. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you very much, our host and Pimpa Promotions, together with Fiktube, for hosting us every Saturday. It's really a privilege. Gift Peter is my name to the viewers who don't know me, and I am grateful to deliberate on matters which are of national concern. Thank you very much.
Hey, welcome, Mr. Gift Peter. Gentlemen, I welcome you to the house. And today we're going to move our minds around the angles of the wind that's blowing in East Africa, and that is the war. We can call it an internal conflict between the M23 and the DRC government. Yeah, so a decision made by the president and the the chairperson of East Africa community, that is Uhuru Kenyatta. Before we reach there, I want us to begin rotating around the angles in our country. Teachers are on strike. Recently, the president announced openly that he is increasing fee, or call it the salaries for science teachers, and then arts teachers are also complaining. So we have had the 3 last days of the strike that began in the midst of the week, and at least it has affected greatly the children. But before that, we are beginning with the issue of the university. We are in the election time in Makerere University, and now there is a lot that has happened this week. Students are complaining. Why e-voting? Why e-voting? And yet the university had already opened publicly that every student is supposed to be at the university. So we are rotating around those angles. So to begin with, the issue of e-voting, we are going to evaluate the strength and the weakness that has so far been realized in this process, because it began last year in 2021 when in that COVID-19 situation that students had to vote online. But then even today, the university, it has advocated it to stand. And when we last heard from the Vice Chancellor, he said that this is the system of technology has to stay in the university. That's why you see some students are having lectures online, which is a good thing. But then we are evaluating it which challenges has it come with, and what are the solutions we seek or message we advance to the Electoral Commission of the university, and also the candidates who are standing for different posts from the top to the bottom. So Mr. President, I think I'll begin with you. Yeah, I know you were put into the house. I don't know whether it was as an effect of e-voting or it was diplomatic. I can't tell. Yeah, but you're going to tell us what is the impact, what are the implications so far we've realized in this element of e-voting, and how should it be shaped to suit everyone, and how students have been reacting about it? Because I know you're a leader and there are a lot of complaints, and I think I'm among people who raised the complaints to your office about this issue of e-voting. You know, I'm a victim. Yeah, so I'm going to begin with you. Tell us about this process. Yeah, thank you so much.
Moderator, I think what I can possibly say about these elections is that it is just hypocrisy, because for crying out loud, you've opened the campus for students to flock in, and then out of the blue you want to put in place e-voting. I think that is hypocrisy of the highest order. If your arguments are, if your reasoning is that we really need to control the impact of COVID or the spread of COVID-19, it is a good way. It's a good way. I just want to posit this to you. I want to challenge you that just go through the entrances of Makerere. Go to the western gate, eastern gate, main gate, and enter. They are not going to stop you, even if you don't have a mask put on. So once you have students flocking in, even the lecture rooms, you have students who attend lectures minus wearing face masks. So I think this is hypocrisy of the highest order. Elections which are going to be online are not going to be impactful. You are going to actually gag the election process. You are restricting people's rights. Trust me, not everyone is going to be online. Not everyone. Not everyone is going to be online on the voting day. You told us you were disappointed last semester when you tried running for a certain position, whereby you could call your voters, please come and vote for me, please log into this and vote for me. And the students were giving excuses. You know, I don't have data, you know, my network is disturbing, I don't know how to log in. So if you have all those kind of weaknesses in the process, then the election is going to be not far away from a sham election. So we really need to up the game. I think this kind of politics in Makerere are just hypocrisy. At this level, we should look at how we can improve the voting system, not chase away voters, because the new system is going to chase away voters. Trust me. You can take the incidence of last year's voting or last semester's voting, whereby students actually gave up. You know, a few. We are over 40,000 students at Makerere. Now, look at the number that turned up for voting. Just look at the number. It is a clear tale that it is evident that people are disgusted. The system is disgusting. Look at, just ignore the elections. Look at the learning process after COVID struck us. You know, the university opted for a blended system of learning. Now, in a class whereby you have around 120 people, let me take, for instance, our class, the journalism class, we're around 120 people. Now, in a lecture, you can find that only 20 people attend the lecture. Now, that is yet with the lectures which really contributes to the part of the learning. So, what about elections which are negligible? Do you think students will go there to vote? These are questions which I think we need to grapple with. We need to ask these uncomfortable questions. Once we don't find answers to them, then we can't yield any change, because we really need to learn from our mistakes. We didn't have a participation of students in the other elections. What caused it? If it's that the system of voting is the problem, what have we solved? Do we have tangible solutions on ground? I think when we ask these uncomfortable questions, then we can look for the answers. So what they can do, we really need to sit down as a university and identify the weaknesses. How we can improve voting, voting. Even with the COVID-19 cases in Uganda, people were able to go and vote physically. So if we can have the country at that level whereby we can vote physically, why not the university, which the number is low? So we can do something meaningful. I believe this kind of e-voting style is just hypocrisy. You can't let students have lectures without masks. They crowd without social distancing. They can't even sanitize their hands. They can't follow these procedures which are aimed at curbing the spread. Students don't follow. Now once you have that kind of environment where people are behaving towards that, and then you tell them all of a sudden we are having e-voting basically to prevent.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, Gift Peter, for that contribution. But I would like to inform you that of recent, the university administrator, under the leadership of the Union of Students, sat with a number of students who were raising these complaints that why e-voting, and yet again we are handling a free economy out of lockdown. Why don't we have physical voting? But of course, this issue came on board as part of the university policies, and so it has to stay because we are advancing towards technology. So the issue they raise is that as the world grows, we need also to embrace these opportunities. Yeah, but then maybe what they would try to fight is the loopholes that have been realized in the previous elections. But then an argument came because some students complained that voting though happened, but many students didn't turn up because of the situation of data and all other things. But then the recent EC was granted even a medal. I mean, a token of appreciation for handling very nice elections. So we see that the element you're raising as hypocrisy. I don't know if maybe the administration is just blinded by the few number of students who are voting, so they think it's okay. So what we pose around here is, how do you have a take? I mean, I will turn to the diplomat. That the university states it very well that it's part of, and I'll tell you that when I raised that concern on the day my elections were halted, that the system was brilliant and it was not showing good results, they told me that it's a policy made, so there is no change. I told them we do away with e-voting. At that time they told me it can't be, and yet almost my voters for year 2 that time was around, were around. So the issue raised here, they are saying that it is a policy. So how do you want, and how should we see this policy shaped to suit everyone, or should we just scrap it off? Should we take the administration's idea that it's a policy in the universe that we have to vote online? I mean, but then other students are voting physically. It's just blended, as you say, but it's a system brought in. Yeah.
Now, thank you, moderator. Mr. Moderator, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to our viewers, and thank you, our hosts too. First of all, for the university to come out and state that those online elections were successful, free and fair, that is strategic deception. Seriously, it's strategic deception.
Yeah.
To lie to people that Makerere is there, yet it is not yet there. Now, online voting is good, and going digital it's also good and desirable, but here at Makerere and other universities in Uganda, but Makerere specifically, there is a lot to be done. There is a lot to be done. Makerere as a university is ill prepared to conduct a credible online election. It is ill prepared on a serious note. There are very many technicalities to look at. There has to be groundwork to be done. Then you make research, make also perfections in the system, in the IT system. On a serious note, this e-voting, whatever at Makerere, it has a lot of weaknesses. It crashes, it freezes all the time. It freezes on several occasions, and students are left out of the process, and they cannot vote. So e-voting, yes, we have to go digital, but at Makerere we are still behind, and a lot should be done to be able to get there. Now you realize universities in Uganda are not at the same level with universities abroad. For example, in the USA, once an online election is to be conducted, and once students start voting online, it should be followed and it should be monitored in real time. Meaning, a student after casting his or her vote, she should actually be able to follow up the system on their account and follow their votes. They should be able to view the tentative results, knowing who has how many. If candidate A has 20, now in the next 20 minutes, candidate A may surpass candidate B. You monitor the election in what? In real time. It should be live and monitored in real time from the start of the voting to the end of the voting, so that when announcing time comes, all students are contented and they know where the results have come from. Not just keeping students in the dark. They vote and they go to their respective rooms and they wait for the announcing time. And when the announcing time comes, they announce that someone has won. On a serious note, that is regrettable, it is condemnable. Seriously, it is very, very bad and unfortunate to find out that Makerere is actually advocating for such a system, minus first preparing students and other stakeholders for an e-voting. On a serious note, another thing, we also have what we call digital illiteracy among students. Students don't know how to vote. The majority, okay, the minority know, but the majority, they don't know how to vote online. They are illiterate, and therefore the university should come up with a policy of teaching students how they should vote online. Equip them with required ICT skills to be able to do what? To vote online. Because most of them don't know. Most of them have not studied ICT. Most of them don't know even how to use computers. They don't know how to enroll, to register, etc., and they are left out of the system. Another thing, students are very poor, which means now one who doesn't have money to buy data cannot cannot vote, and some others end up tapping Makerere Wi-Fi around the campus. So which means students who come from home, who commute, they will not do what? These things the university administration doesn't know. Perhaps we think they know, but they are perhaps selfish, because they are there in top offices and they have whatever they want. They are very rich. They can take their students to good schools, and their students can learn ICT, computer, and thereafter they think that other students are also rich like their own students, which is unfortunate on a serious note. So an administrator at Makerere sitting in their posh offices, driving posh cars, and they think all other students are also like their kids. It is unfortunate, it is condemnable, and it should stop on a serious note. So a lot should be done to be able to have a successful online voting process at Makerere University. But as now, we are not yet there, and the system has a lot of weaknesses which cannot ensure a credible and transparent online election. Thank you, moderator.
That is the diplomat. Thank you so much, Maurice. We are so glad. But before we continue, I want us to wind up this. Students have these voices. Some say that it has loopholes, that the EC most of the times just put a document that follow these steps and vote, but it does not come to the ground to physically tell these students, and it has not done, it did not do much based on the previous elections to help every student conduct elections. But then they are also saying this, that we have physical voting, and I know if the university blends it, it's also going to happen. And students are saying, if e-voting should stand, they should leave it to interest, that they should put the two to happen open, that if you want you can vote online, if you want you can vote physically. So that's what most of students are suggesting, that let them two happen, but it should not be imposed on or based on a class or college or kind of, that it should be out of interest. That there are those people who say, I'm able to cast my vote on online, I'm able to cast my vote physically, so it should be out of interest. Besides, we have students with disabilities. The other time they were considered right, but still I know the EC is blending that and they are going to be considered, but the issue is it should be put to interest of a person. Yeah, so as we wind up, I want you to in 1 minute forward a message to the current or the coming GRCs, coming presidents who are aspiring as they pass through their electorates. Which messages should they bring to them in as far as voting is concerned? Because we have seen this, it happened the other time. You people, I'm talking from experience. I didn't prepare my voters for e-voting. It also came to me 2 days after, 2 days to elections. I had to begin telling them, now you people, this is how we're going to vote. Okay, it happened because they announced it early. But to come to our notice that it was such serious, because I had even written to them asking them to allow my voters vote physically, but they did not allow me. They said it is a policy. So my answering me, it came out 2 days to elections, and I had to lay down my weapons. I said, if I don't take through my voters into the process of e-voting, then I'm going to lose it out. Because I sat on my knees, hoping that the EC would change things, but they didn't. They told me, no, we can't change the system. So that time, the 2 days preparing my electorate was really huge. I could not reach everyone. Besides, they were asking for data and all those things. So which message are you giving to the electoral commission in as preparing the two kind of voting, online and also physical? Yeah, in 1 minute, and we'll wind up.
All right, Mudecha, there's only one message that we should put out there, and to me, we should all be real in this nature. We are having reality on ground. It is not fiction. We all know that the elections here at Makerere, or anything to do with online, is always, a boomerang to students. Students are not always good when it's things to do with the online are done here at Makerere. I just want us to be realistic in this time, that what can solve the issues of fake elections here at Makerere is when we embrace a good system. Now, e-voting, me personally, I don't think it's a good system, because they need to assure us that our votes, first of all, are safe. For sure, which medium are we going to ascertain? Which medium are we going to use to make sure that we are confident that our votes will go to the right place? Even online, you find students, you submit. I'm talking about the learning process. You are given an assignment, and then after finishing the assignment, when you want to submit it, for you may think you submitted it, and then you didn't submit it. Yes. Even the exams which guys did online, other guys were crying. They are crying, their documents didn't go through. So when you have such things on ground, you can't have an effective election. Now the EC needs to come into terms with reality, that this system is a sham, this system is ineffective. because right now we can't afford that system. It's a good system, but we can't afford. We are not yet there. We need education. We needed to be informed. We needed to be educated about the system before we use it. But for now, we can't afford it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. And we've reached that ground that at least they have to prepare these people. But then there is another element where students, it has been, actually it is even happening in the country, where you have 50% people voting from different localities and urban areas. And you see that most of them don't have interest too. So I also encourage these candidates actually to motivate these students towards voting, because we may not realize democracy in the university if such system is running. You have only 50% voting out of the thousands of students in the university. Yeah. So what's your one take word? I mean, to take home to a leader who is coming in election. How should they prepare their people towards this e-voting and also the physical voting that's going to happen very soon in 1 minute?
No, okay, thank you, moderator, and thank you to our sponsors. Now, I don't have any kind of words for administrators and policy makers at Makerere University. Everything is, manifests itself. Makerere University is not yet there. But unfortunately, we have administrators who are dictatorial. Yes, you may make recommendations. You say, okay, this should be done. We are not yet there. We should sensitize students. We should train students. But Nawangwe and his, colleagues, they will sit down and say, you should do this. When you speak up, when you try to demonstrate, they bring police, they tear gas you, they do what? So now, these things can be put to a legal test. On a legal test. Uganda is a democracy, so we have courts of law running, and therefore those big-headed Makerere administrators who draft policies that benefit a few and disfavor the majority should be prosecuted and actually taken to court and be disciplined, because they don't want to listen. Every time we tell them our issues, our matters affecting us, they keep a blind ear on a serious note. So the leaders, actually, they should rise up and, identify those big-headed administrators and prosecute them in courts of law, and they face the repercussion on a serious note. So we also have a voice, in the running of the affairs of the university. That's my take.
Okay, thank you so much. What you hear is from a student's body, not any concern of this YouTube channel. And I know students have a lot, there's a lot of mourning across. There are other issues students are facing. They say the economy is down, and also the situation is really alarming. So really, things are not okay. Someone said we are broke. They were telling the people we are broke, but then we are broke and yet other people are buying cars. I don't know how we should shape that. Can you be broke and you're buying cars? I mean, but that's all development. So that's where we are going right now. But I would like to tell our viewers that this is proudly sponsored by Pimpa. It's our very nice studio where you can come and learn a lot of things to do with the graphics, a lot of things to do with the learning computer literacy and other things. Those who want to promote their music, check out to the YouTube. You'll find Pimpa very perfect in its work. And so we come back. So after all that, we want to linger around the national issues, but I want us to have a basement. Recently, 3 days back, teachers, mostly the art teachers, after the science teachers demonstrating they want added money as government had promised to them, the art teachers also saying why not us. So we have seen that the schools have been in COVID-19 in that alarming situation. Children have not been studying, but now the time where we have to rapidly sum up the syllabuses, teachers are again saying we have to be balanced, we have to be considered. So a 3 days kind of demonstration took place and affected some big number of districts in Uganda. To mention, we had issues in Kalangala, Masaka, and the other districts in the country. Many students and learners were sent back home. Others in boarding were asked to wash clothes and stay and enjoy the day. So, but we see this is affecting the country. So I want us to discuss around that angle, and our major issue, we are focusing on that basically. So we see the country allocated the budget recently, but we have seen that education has not been considered greatly. You people read it and you saw everything that happened. So, teachers, talk about teachers. My teacher right now is in bricks because he's not able to, to hold all of the treasuries, all of the finances for his home, and he's an art teacher. But then you see a one-side teacher who is a scientist, he's added a lot of money. And then the government says we should not talk about it, that it's supposed to be like that. Is it a right decision? What could be done? In 2 minutes, we wind up with this. Thank you so much.
All right. The issues of the national teachers is an issue which really alarms everyone, and it should be tackled with immediate urgency. You know, for far too long, this country has been playing ping pong, what I can call, you know. They focus on those issues which don't matter and then leave out the issues which matter, and that is a public policy problem. So when you have the nurses going to strike, when you have the teachers going to strike consistently, times without number, now when you have that kind of rotational, you know, gravitation, you need to question yourself. This is a social problem, you know, which must be given attention. It has not yet degenerated into a policy problem yet. It's still a social problem. And what our country is doing is that they're neglecting the social problem. Some of the sticking issues in the country are what this government is leaving out. Issues to do with education, the health. Now, why do we have the government up in bits when issues to do with security are done? To an extent that even they can appropriate supplementary budget for an operation in DRC without even approval, without even seeking advice or approval from parliament. Yeah. So from nowhere, government just injects money that go to DRC, have this kind of operation. And then some of the issues which the citizens are grappling with, the education sector, the health sector, those are the questions that really a government that is concerned about the people can do. Why do we have teachers go on strike consistently? Can't we find any antidote to this kind of smelly issue? Why do we have nurses going to strike? It is because of, you know, betrayal. You know, government gives lofty promises, you know. These nurses peg their hopes in these government promises. But then when they are betrayed, when the promises are betrayed, what else could they expect? Actually, they have to go for strikes. Yeah, yes.
Actually, in the parliament, this issue was raised because there are some MPs, I may not mention their names, but they really warned this process that you're considering science teachers, but from few days, few months, you're going to see teachers from other departments complaining, and you may think you're solving a problem, but you're adding salt to the already affected wound. So, and then they were telling them, you should reconsider, you should be considerate. If you're adding, at least consider all of them, because this is a national issue. You know, a teacher is like a cake. This is our gold. Even those people who are in big offices, they went through schools. So a parliament was so considerate. Those people who really mind about and know what a teacher is, they were saying, let's consider all of them. Yeah, so in a wind up.
Yeah, as I wound up, one professor said that all this is done deliberately. You know, UNATU, this association for teachers, this union for teachers, was a very powerful association that could bring together teachers, whether arts or sciences. And they were strong. Now what this government is doing is basically divide and rule policy, so that when you segment a few individuals this side and give them a token, when issues to do with crisis or complaints or strikes,
They will not come together.
they will keep quiet because they are sorted.
Yeah.
They will fight there and nothing will happen. Yes. So I think he's right. What this government is doing is divide and rule. Those who have power over everything are doing it possible to divide these people and see to it that they are not strong, and they won't ever complain again. But that's not how problems are solved. We need to have a root cause analysis and then find an antidote to this sticking issue. Thank you.
Oh wow, thank you so much. Maurice, the diplomat. So you've seen this, you had your teacher, she taught you very well, but then you hear he's going back to bricks making just because the government has not considered him. And yet there is another teacher, the other side, who is considered really. So we've had these issues of government allocating resources to some called urgent in courts issues. Yeah, so what advice do you offer? I know they are going to listen to you. How should these allocations be done well, so that at least a teacher is risen into a status that is really recognizable?
Okay, thank you very much, the moderator, and also our sponsors. I thank you unreservedly. So, you know, this government, actually, this is not something new. One, having an irresponsible and inconsiderate spending structure. The government spends luxuriously and then ignores very important issues. Teachers. Now, yes, it was actually good to do what? To hype salaries of science teachers, but also their colleagues were supposed to be considered. Now, this strategic discrimination is very, very bad, because all disciplines matter, all subjects matter, and to consider, okay, to perfect equality in the academia, arts teachers were supposed to be considered. There is no point of constructing roads in the DRC, then buying expensive cars for the speaker and the deputy, and yet they already had expensive cars. But now a teacher who taught, but now the president of Uganda did not do sciences. He did politics, and where he is right now, it's because of a certain arts teacher, humanities teacher. And therefore, the two sides actually should be balanced. If science teachers are supposed to be, to have their salaries increased, also arts teachers should be also considered on a serious note. And another thing, you realize head teachers of various schools, actually if not all schools, did humanities. Therefore, you find a salary of a head teacher is much lower than that of of a science teacher, and yet that science teacher is supposed to take directives from the from the headmaster. Now, how do you respect your boss, and yet your boss earns less than what you do what you earn? So on a serious note, it is going to create divisionisms, it's going to create conflicts, and it is going to sabotage the education sector of this country. And me, I believe in the rule of law. We have standing courts, constitutional court, etc. So in anything that is passed by Museveni and his colleagues or his honchos, and you feel it is unconstitutional, challenge it in courts of law. Put it to a legal test. But at least you go there. At least you go there to expose the weaknesses, to show that what they are doing is not is not right. But it is very unfortunate to consider science teachers alone and leave out arts teachers, and yet you continue to spend irresponsibly organizing birthday parties, constructing roads in the DRC, on a serious note, buying expensive cars, bribing MPs, you know, the coffee deal, whatever. So please, they should spare us. Thank you.
This is Fiktube, a global platform program streamed live every Saturday from 9 a.m. We are so glad for these men. They are diplomats. They are really concerned about the issues of the country, and we really appreciate them. Yeah, so as we wind up, we shall have a short commercial break, and then we come and look at a very urgent issue. We are seeing our governments in East Africa, they are failing to settle down, and they want to add salt. They want to add salt to the already intensified or sour kind of soup, but we are coming back to evaluate that. So this program is proudly sponsored by Pimpa Promotions. So if you're there and you want to have a very nice wedding, photos, pictures, anything, don't look any further. Actually, check out for Pimpa. We are found here at Kasubi and Kisubi. So look out to us or check us on 07039199971. You'll find us, and your solutions will be actually addressed. Your issues will be addressed. So we are coming back for yet another session, and that's about East Africa. The M23 are rivalry, intensifying issues they want to be considered in their country, but then there is a lot of swelling, claiming that Uganda and Rwanda are part of the supporters of the rebels, and yet the chairman of East Africa Commission is saying he has to send the army and do the negotiations, actually putting down or asking the rebels to put down their guns. I don't think it's really doing it right, but we are coming back to that. Let's have a short commercial break. Don't touch your dial. Yeah, so once again we are back to this. Thank you so much for really enduring with us. Yeah, and having that sweet commercial break. Always come. Always come, because Fiktube is for everyone. Fiktube is home. That's where we sit and discuss things that concern us. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like, also offer comments. And still, I'll remind you not to forget, always come to our sponsor. Come here at Pimpa, and you're really served well. Those who want to be promoted in music, those who want to be to learn computer, those who want to learn many elements in graphics, please always come. Yeah, so today as we proceed, I want us to reflect on this air in the wind about East Africa and the issues on the ground. Remember, some few weeks back, I would say months, the war in actually crisis, fight between the government of DRC and the M23 rebels has been on. And from this, we have realized that East Africa community became concerned because of recent they had they started actually organized, decided to be forming or to form the East Africa community United Army to counteract any form of insurgency in DRC. And this has come on the grounds where the rebels in DRC, at first they were called to offer negotiation, but then they refused to go because of the insecure issues that they raised. So right now, there is a very calling situation in DRC between the government and the rebel MP. The rebel people. Those who want to be considered much by the government, and that's the M23. So the president of Kenya and also the chairperson of the East Africa Community sat and it actually dissolved the solution that they should send this joint army they formed to go and counteract these rebel groups in Congo. And so the process is in negotiation. But our concern here, you've seen what has been happening in East Africa. There are a lot of challenges. We have Sudani issues. there is a crisis between Uganda and Rwanda that's just been resolved. That family kind of disagreements between the two presidents, we call it, because it was so family related. Many people are calling it, why do they bring personal issues into? But that has been, actually it's being settled. But again, another thing come in where we are having the rebels. And so a lot of things have to be really desired in this issue. Because first of all, the 4 countries in East Africa, that is Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, and DRC, their relationship is really swelled so much. And yet Kenya, Tanzania, they are at least the best countries we may assume can enter into these negotiations. But before we go there, I want you to understand that on this decision made by the chairperson of East Africa Community, the country, DRC, discussed about it in their parliament, and the opposition, a big number of them disagreed with the decision. They said that this can't be enough. That Uganda, because they claim that Uganda is supporting the rebels and also is Rwanda. So they say the best thing is for them to offer a ground talk with these rebels that will realize all of them, their interests to be considered. That it's not good to interest East Africa Army going to the DRC, because it's going to intensify these conflicts instead of solving them. So that's where we are. We had a lot of Ugandans delegates arguing about this issue, but I can quote one, the lecturer of Makerere University, who said that at least 4 countries are not well or unsuitable to involve in this, because he according to him looks at Tanzania and Kenya are the only countries that are really suitable to Gandhi or to send the armies. But that Uganda is having a poor relationship with the DRC, and so is Rwanda. South Sudan is fighting with her own dilemmas and cannot be a suitable person. You can't be fighting in your home and you are offering advice to people to settle issues in their homes. And also Burundi is the same thing. When you talk about Rwanda, you have to talk about Burundi. They are like sisters and brothers. Yeah? So for him, he says that at least the issue of sending army is not the best solution for his Democratic Republic of Congo. So I want to interest you in this issue. What are these challenges you assume will crop into this decision if it is concluded and made? And also, what good side do we see in this issue? And I'm going to begin with the diplomat, Maurice Muhoozi. Actually, Watchdog likes you so much for your publications. Yeah. So I'm going to begin with Maurice, and you're going to tell us what is this M23, and in 3 minutes you will drive us to an element of what are the effects realized in this decision made by the chairman of East Africa Community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and thank you, Pimpa Promotions, for sponsoring us. We are proud of you and we appreciate unreservedly. Now, the M23, it's a rebel movement based in Eastern Congo. Yes, in Eastern Congo, Goma, Ituri province. That's the M23. It is March 23. But now we have to remember that in 1994, during the genocide, most of the Tutsi refugees from Rwanda went and actually sought asylum in Eastern DRC. So most of the Tutsis, because there was political turmoil in Eastern DRC, they went and sought refuge in where? In Eastern DRC, from Rwanda to Eastern DRC. So when they reached there, they became citizens of what? Citizens of DRC. But they have their own grievances. They think, okay, they suppose that the government of DRC marginalizes them, does not grant them equal rights like those other citizens of what? Of DRC. So they have very many grievances and very many complaints. So as a way of addressing complaints, in 2012, they organized themselves and formed the M23 movement to fight for their what? For their rights. So the M23 rebels, those rebels you see, they have a Tutsi blood. They're actually Tutsi exiles living in where? Living in the DRC. And that is it. But now in 2013 November, they were defeated by the DRC army with the assistance of MONUSCO, yes, MONUSCO, that is a peacekeeping mission, a UN peacekeeping mission in the DRC. Yes, they were defeated, but the terms of, after defeat, they signed an agreement that actually these M23 rebels should be incorporated in the the national army of the DRC. So in November last year, they again came out and they were like, no, we had agreed to be incorporated in the national army, but the government is not doing that. So since the government is not doing that, let's rise up again and fight the government. So they started fighting in November last year, fighting the DRC government, and that's why you are seeing all this happening. Now we have to consider that there are very many armed groups in the DRC, and we have the Nairobi discussions. Now the Nairobi discussion is the platform to bring together the government of DRC and some other armed groups to find a long-lasting solution to the political turmoil in the DRC. But on a sad note, the M23 was not invited to be part of the Nairobi discussions. So the government of DRC is saying, no, the M23, we don't want to talk to you, want to defeat you militarily. And also the M23 are saying, okay, if you don't want to talk to us, we're also going to do what? To fight you. And that's how we are seeing all this kind of commotion happening in the eastern DRC. Now, the idea of forming a joint force to go and intervene in the affairs of DRC to stop the situation from spiraling out of control, it is not an appropriate solution. That is like adding yeast to the already fermented bread, pouring more petrol on a sad note. So you realize now, if that force is to be formed, it's going to be comprised of forces from Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi. But as you know, Rwanda and Uganda, they are allegedly considered to be not neutral, and therefore when those forces go to Rwanda, to DRC to keep peace, some other things may come up seriously. So we might see the conflict actually enlarging and being heightened instead of being reduced. So my suggestion is they should sit down. Those M23 guys have grievances seriously, which they should settle. They're not all about power grab, but they're fighting for their rights. So the government of Felix Tshisekedi should be sensitized, actually. Sit down and talk to the M23 guys, and so that the whole conflicts come to an end. It's now diplomacy, to harmonize. It's diplomacy that is going to end this kind of flare up, not a military solution. A military solution is going to cause destruction of property, displacement, loss of lives, looting of property, and further destabilization and conflicts in the eastern DRC. But for a diplomatic solution, everything is going to to be harmonized. So that's my take. Thank you.
I like diplomats because they understand things. Thank you so much, Maurice. We are glad. By the way, he's an international student who really is doing well, and we assume UN should see you, and we sound a message to the ambassador of UN in Uganda. I mean, in New York. Professor Donio, we really Ambassador Donio, we sound this to him. He should consider such people, because we are diplomats. We need to be considered in the country. But the challenge we have, when someone sees us talking, they may assume we are against the government. No, please. We lay down our issues, and we assume it can have a cause on having peace in the world, not only in Uganda, but we really considerate about that. Yeah. So, Mr. President, you've seen this. We have seen a lot of challenges that have cropped in this issue. When DRC joined, a lot of people said many words that DRC has a lot of challenges to do with the political unrests. We have had a lot of refugees moving from DRC to Uganda. A lot of negotiation, without a lot of sensing the toughness. I mean, other worse issues which are coming, they are really making a decision to send the army. But we have not seen any army crossing, refugees crossing over to Kenya. They are coming to Uganda. And when you look at the country's economy, it's really a dilemma. So people are saying, what could be the solid solution? Is it sending the army or having negotiations that are out of the army? But then, First, we look at the effects, because we don't mind if they send the army, but what are the effects? Who is going to be affected badly in this situation? Who is going to lose a lot in this situation? You get that? So, what are these effects you're realizing if the decision is made in 3 minutes? Thank you so much.
Mudecha, I would say East Africa, and I would focus my basis on DRC. DRC is a troubled country, and history has always put that clear for us to see. You look at the wars that have been fought on that land. You look at the number of rebel groups that are already flaring up flames in DRC. The ADF, the M23, and many more. So DRC, I can say, has been troubled for so long. And who is that Jesus Christ who is going to liberate it out from that kind of a hemorrhage? So East Africa, before we added the 2 countries, that is DRC and South Sudan, we had a pretty stable countries. Look at Uganda. Uganda has stayed for quite long without being disturbed. And look at Rwanda, that is from 1994 onwards, they have been a little stable. Tanzania has always been known for stability. Kenya is also the same. Now, when we added the 2 countries, South Sudan with its issues there, whereby you can sleep peacefully, and then the next day you find your roof already removed by rebels or by fights. So South Sudan, I really don't know. It has been added to East African community. DRC, with a long history of upheavals, has also been added. Now the question that we need to interest ourselves in is that, are we ready for such instabilities? Are we ready? Have we prepared ourselves for them? Now that we've gotten them in place, we are seeing reality. Now, the method of solving the issue, I think going rampage, it is like a double-edged sword. It is an issue which is urgent. You know, why I said it is a double-edged sword is because it has its implications. It's like a snake entering your house, and then you just make an irrational decision of setting the whole house ablaze. Of course, everything inside there will have to be consumed. Now, we need to look at the DRC. We have a lot of resources there. We have people who are settled, people who are already disturbed by wars and instabilities. Now we are going rampage as East Africa. Are we ready for such? Are we ready to hold the refugees? Uganda has the largest number of refugees in Africa, you can say. Now, when this kind of a crisis happens and we go for a rampage in DRC, are we ready to host more refugees?
Maybe to add you, as you wind up, there's already another insurgency that happened recently, I think 1 day back, where some DRC army person died at the border. So DRC crossed the border, and some others from Rwanda went with injuries. So we already see that the border DRC is sharing with Rwanda is closed. So only Uganda that has opened theirs. Okay, can allow the refugees to enter to Uganda, because they also feel Uganda is peaceful. And so we are seeing that if solutions are not granted for diplomacy, East Africa is totally in a dilemma. Look at the economic stand of the countries. We are facing a lot of challenges with the rise of the commodities. So we want to interest again a big number of people coming to our country, because that's the end result. Interesting armies to fight, people will run away. Yeah, and automatically the end goal or the end place is Uganda. You see that? So I think we should move around that angle, that the East Africa community should be careful in making these decisions. That instead of causing more problems, they should diplomatically settle these issues. Because we have seen these three countries need to negotiate too much so that they lay down situations and they solve these issues. But the issue of having the armies, it's also another burden. Budget. To budget for that, Uganda has invested much in the security, but you will see us our treasury is diverted to the war, because I don't think there is enough money in the unpreparedness sector, because I know they allocate that, and that money has to work on such issues. But we have our own issues in the country, which we think the country can concentrate on helping out the people who are dying. They are saying we are broke. So you see that. So economically, there is a challenge. Politically, there is a challenge. Socially, there is a challenge. You get that? So let's move on that angle. What could be the solution? What could be that solid message to the East Africa to see these issues settled?
You see, I've always said, when there is a war, of course you'll expect refugees. Now, we wouldn't want to see a scenario like that. We already have a good number of refugees, that is from DRC itself and also South Sudan. Now, what is that solid solution? I think we should use the UN Pacific mode of solving issues, which diplomatically, which my brothers here said. So we should try that approach. For far too long, I've not seen East African community having that kind of diplomatic approach. You remember around early 1990s to 2000s, when the Ugandan forces went on rampage to DRC, the repercussions up to now, Uganda is paying a debt. So when we have such things on ground, we should calculate the backfire. You know, what is going to be the backfire effect? That's what is going to guide us. It is like a map. You have to see, you forward see what is going to happen and find solutions to it. Now we can use that diplomatic kind of approach. We say we have a peaceful dialogue, a peaceful, dialogue until we reach a compromise. A compromise is painful, where you have to lose part of your interests and also have to lose part of my interests, and then we find that middle ground where we can say, here we can at least agree, much as we cannot have this, at least this is what we need to agree on. So we need that kind of a dialogue. It's not easy. It's like reporting yourself to the police, you as the thief. I stole, now here, let's talk. So these rebels also fear. They fear if they go and have a dialogue with these heads of states, they will be handcuffed, they will be killed, and their mission will be thwarted. So how can we assure them that all is going to be well? So that is what we need to be thinking as East African community. According to me, that's what we can do. So
okay, thank you, my colleague. Now, before the heads of state make that decision to go and intervene militarily in the DRC, they should first look at what is happening in Ukraine seriously. The statesmen ignored diplomacy and pursued a course of war. Yeah. But now you look at what's happening. What is happening now? Everything has been devastated in Ukraine. People are dying. There is high global inflation. Prices of commodities, high. Like they should look at the example of what is happening in Ukraine. Yeah. Therefore, they could not listen to what Russia was saying, and therefore they're like, we are going to war. On a serious note, if we can look at what war has been doing, First World War, we saw what happened, Second World War, we saw what happened. So war is nothing, war is undesirable. We should not pursue the path of war. We should actually advocate for diplomacy. In DRC, Actually, those M23 guys in Eastern DRC, they allege they are not treated fairly like other DRC citizens. The fact that they have roots from Kigali, roots from Rwanda, they are not looked at as pure citizens of DRC, and therefore they are discriminated. They are not offered equal rights like other citizens of DRC. So they have issues to look at seriously, and therefore the government of DRC should sit down with them, and perhaps if it should be if it's going to be a fruitful negotiation process, it should happen outside East Africa, perhaps Angola, South Africa, Mozambique, and actually those M23 guys should be given security guarantees. Yes. So actually there should be a powerful intervention to stop this matter from flaring up diplomatically, not militarily, because militarily, on a serious note, we're going to see something very big which is going to be devastating. So it's not good. Actually, I prefer a diplomatic solution, and that's what should be done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we are all in line with one of the opposition leader, that is Martini Fayul, who said that sending the army is not a solution to solve the issues of DRC. But what is the solution for DRC is to have these three, mostly DRC with Rwanda, should sit down and negotiate these differences and find the solutions. But I think East Africa as a community should offer places, tables, should work as a third party, not to fight, because fighting, all of these are nationals. Rwanda, these two people who are staying, the M23 are also nationals. Yeah, they are also people who need to be considered. They have their differences, although the method they are using, then which is wrong in fighting, which is not good, but they should be considered. So I think we really sound this cry to the East Africa community chairperson, that is President Uhuru Kenyatta, to reconsider these issues. Let him hear from different outcries, people who are really and also the other presidents, Uganda, that's Rwanda. Let them come on board. Let them agree on how these issues can be settled. Fighting a rebel who is also fighting liberty for his sake. Yeah, I think let them first try that. Maybe if it fails, then they will have to send the army, because at times when you're dealing with a rebel, they also tend to be stubborn. They tell them, let's agree on this. They say, for us, we want this. But let them agree. If they fail, then we shall say, no, nothing we can do. But we are seeing that there are a lot of effects that are coming along with this issue. Too much refugees. Many refugees are flocking into to Uganda, and economically and socially Uganda is also being affected. Relationships between Uganda, Rwanda, and the Democratic Republic of Congo is being swelled. Yeah, so we see all of these challenges. Yeah, so we shall not continue any further. I want us to end at this, but I wanted these gentlemen to assure to us that they are really coming back. I wanted to make it a style for them to have a last word for the show. Tell us your interest, in 1 minute, and then, yeah, talk about yourself in 1 minute, because I've not given you that opportunity, but I think it's okay, you can do that. Let me begin with the president. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mudecha, for moderating the session so well. And I would like to give my one last word, is that war is also politics in its violent form, as we are told. So it is also another way of interaction, though violently, but it shouldn't be the first option. We've been having it consistently. We've never given the platform for dialogue, and I think it's time we do that. Now, me personally, I am really proud to be here. This platform is a good platform for everyone, for one to promote themselves, one to argue out. You intensify debates in this building. So Pimpa Promotions, I would like to say thank you so much. And I'm glad to be hosted here every Saturday. And I give my word, unless I am sick, I'll always be here. debating issues of national concern. Thank you so much.
Thank you, the moderator. We thank you very much. Also, Pimpa Promotions, I extend my appreciation to you. I am so privileged actually to be hosted by you. Thank you very much, and thank you. Now, my word. I have one word for East African statesmen. War. Actually, me, I'm a war analyst. Yes, war is undesirable, war is destructive, war brings misery, war leads to devastation, economic recession, and etc. Terrible loss of lives on a serious note, refugees, etc. So war frustrates everything, war is undesirable, and war should not be pursued. Instead, we should pursue diplomacy and resolving issues on a round table, serious. And this thing of fighting for, hegemonic powers who should be big, it's Uganda to rule East Africa, then Rwanda also wants to have some influence in the DRC, or also, this thing of trying to interfere, meddle into other states' affairs should be dropped, and we should also pursue the path of peace, but not trying to interfere in other states' affairs and, fighting here, there, which can bring devastation. Thank you.
Wow, this is so wonderful. These are diplomats. Uganda should not entertain war, and so is other countries. Let's have peace. Those are words from our delegates today. I will also encourage you to keep subscribing to our YouTube channel, that's Fiktube. Please drop your comment, and we shall move. Yeah, we are so glad. Yeah, keep coming. This is home. Fiki always tells me that he has put all of these grounds for the young people to also pull out their talents. In any case, yeah, you come on board. Yeah, that's the development. I like him so much for that, because he has been all around, and so is Pimpa. These guys are really so nice, and we encourage the society to always come around. Those who have parties, those who have want snaps for parties, those who want to learn computer, those who want to have much knowledge in graphics, those who want to be promoted in music, please, Pimpa is a very nice platform for you. Don't look out any further. Always come here. We are so glad for everything, and I will leave you with the communication. Reach out to them on 0703 919971. That's 0703 919971. That is Pimpa Promotions Uganda. Thank you so much. Not until we meet again, same time on Saturday at 9 a.m. We are your humble servants. You mean Mudecha, your great moderator. We meet.